All right, welcome everybody. I have an interesting video for you today. In this video, we're going to be talking about how the government is collecting a lot of secret records on people and how this is a huge problem for numerous reasons. First of all, power corrupts, and we've seen time and time again how governments can become out of control, how they can become puppets for the true oligarchs that control this world. And I do not want to have databases and data warehouses full of my family and the people I love's personal data and having that be hacked. That's unacceptable. First of all, the government shouldn't be secret. The government shouldn't have classified information. The government should be transparent and working for the people. If they did that, then we would work for the government. We would all be together and we would defend our communities. We would defend our property. We would stop crime. But we know that's not what the government's doing. The government is a puppet of the international oligarchy. So basically, it's just a means by which, a vehicle by which our money gets extracted from us through debt and taxes and inflation, and the money gets given to somebody else. And if you look at who the money's getting taken from and who the money's going to, it's very clear who benefits and who's the culprit. So I have to give credit to the Conscious Resistance, this great YouTube channel. I'll leave a link in the description. There's this video here that they posted recently. Austin Fusion Center files report on John Bush for post about Freedom Cell meeting. But more generally, it talks about the hack called Blue Leaks. 269 gigabytes of international U.S. law enforcement data obtained by Anonymous, whatever, that could mean anything. And released on June 19th through a website, Distributed Denial of Secrets, which called it the largest published hack of American law enforcement agencies. Now, this is very interesting because it proves that they're not able to secure our data. It also proves that they're collecting all sorts of heinous, insidious records on innocent people who have done nothing wrong, and they are targeting people for non-criminal activist and press activities. They have even confirmed that the leaked documents are legit. We'll get to that in 1 second. Look here. The data includes internal intelligence, bulletins, emails, and reports between 1996 and 2020. So which government officials are going to hang for this? Which police officers are going to hang for this? Which Fusion Center agents are going to hang for this? Isn't this treason? To steal a bunch of private information from people and then have it be hacked from you? Well, that's not what we're paying you for. You guys ought to be ashamed. You ought to be convicted. You ought to be thrown in jail. Every single one of you who complies with this. The Fourth Amendment says that we have privacy in our person, property, places, and effects. And yet we have these fusion centers in the National Security Agency and all these different people depriving us of our rights, spying on everything that we do, track tracing and databasing us, collecting all of our information, and then trying to roll out new programs like contact tracing for COVID. What if somebody hacks their contact tracing databases? What if somebody hacks any of their databases? This is an incredibly important issue, and I'm pissed the hell off. Twitter banned them shortly after. And notice a lot of these major tech companies have put out new policies saying you can't release hacked information. So what do they know that we don't know? And that's another thing. How many times have our governments been hacked and we never hear about it? Look at this. This group who exposed the inadequate security of the fusion centers is getting swept under the rug. Mainstream's not covering it. Tech platforms are banning people talking about it. The feds are treating Blue Leaks organization as a criminal hacker group, even though they just put out released whistleblower documents. These people don't even know how the internet works, yet they're stealing all of our information and putting it on servers somewhere, usually connected to the internet. Just an absolute disaster waiting to happen. Look, the disaster has already happened in some respects. For example, I grew up in Austin. I live in Houston. I wouldn't be surprised if my information is in this leak. And there's already so much information that's already been released about me, just through public information requests and for everybody. You know those robocalls you're always getting? A lot of that is because the government turns over our phone numbers when people do Freedom of Information Acts on us. It's crazy. So before we look into the actual hack itself, this is part of an umbrella category called global surveillance. Now, we don't know exactly what's going on. It could be either overstated or understated their capabilities. But a lot of this came out from the Edward Snowden revelations. And it says that it traces back to the middle of the 20th century when the US and the UK came together. But then it later expanded to all 5 eyes. So that's US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. What a bunch of hellholes. I mean, in terms of terrible governments. Eventually, this resulted in the establishment of a global surveillance network codenamed Echelon in 1971. But if you look over here, you'll see all the different systems that they have. X-Keyscore, Prism, Echelon, Carnivore, which is a terrifying name. All of these names are terrifying. Dishfire, Stone Ghost, Tempora. Then there's some country-specific ones like Frenchelon, Fairview, Mystic, DCSN, Boundless Informant, Bull Run, Pinwhale, Stingray, Storm, Rampart A. All of these systems are just collecting all of our data, or as much as they can get their hands on, and throwing it in databases, throwing it on hard drives, trying to link all the records together so they know for any person, okay, what are all their usernames across all the platforms? What are they doing on the public internet? What's their browsing history? What are they buying? Everything is being tracked, traced, and databased. And red flags, and they're going to crunch these numbers more into the future too. A lot of it is they're just collecting data now and they can't really process or aggregate all of it, but they want to. Now also, it's important to point out, like I said earlier, this could be government propaganda. Just because a leaked government document comes out doesn't mean that it's legitimate, right? If they disclose aliens tomorrow, I'm probably not going to believe them, even if it comes out in an unclassified memo with a bunch of black bars on it. There's a lot of ways that they can convince people who are skeptical of the government and think it's evil. And one way is by making it look like, oh, something came out from the government, but they didn't want you to know about it. And it's like, well, the whole thing was scripted. So I don't know how much of that is going on with the global surveillance. I know that they have huge data centers. We know that Blue Leaks, well, we don't know any of this, but these are my assumptions. Blue Leaks is a release of 269 gigabytes of Fusion Center and Police Department data. So they are collecting a lot of records on people. We know that. So the website that put it out is called Distributed Denial of Secrets. It's a whistleblower site. And if you go to the North America section of data, you can see all of these different hacks. It's not just Blue Leaks. There's a ton of federal and state agencies which have been hacked. And if you think this is the entire list of all the compromised personal private data, you're mistaken. A lot of times, hackers don't want to brag about what they've acquired, what they've stolen. Only like the really moral hackers are going to come out and say, hey, you guys have a security flaw. We were able to steal all this data. Everyone heads up. The government's spying on you all. They're collecting secret records on you. There's secret courts, secret agents, and they're storing it on non-secure servers. Not every hacker group's going to tell us that. So what other information has been stolen and hacked, and where does it reside? Who is the United States handing the data over to happily? Remember the Shadowgate documentary? I think the most interesting part of that was that it looks like there might be some siphoning of internet records to these private corporations for other things. And remember, the FBI put out that bid. Remember, just a few months ago, the FBI put out a bid for a super collecting dashboard that would get everybody's posts from all the different social media sites and stitch them together so that red flags would pop up in real time that the government goons could go investigate based on the words people were typing on their keyboard. And I'm sure you could identify a few people before they act, but how many times would you identify a false positive? A warning sign that doesn't actually manifest into anything. It's just somebody using free speech. Just somebody who's really upset, trying to vent a little bit. And there's different degrees of threats and types of speech and harassing, and I'm not condoning everything. But I think a lot of things are needlessly investigated by the thought police. I don't want to have thought police. I don't want to actually go through the documents. I haven't downloaded the dump yet. I don't think I will, to be honest. I don't really want to look through people's personal, private information. It's more important to me that the police are collecting these records, that they're not secure. They've already been hacked numerous times. Who knows how many times? God knows. And this is very concerning to me. I hope it's concerning to you. We need to really crack down on secret records, secret proceedings, secret oaths, secret societies, all these secret gangs that have infiltrated our government and rule over us. It's not acceptable. It will never be acceptable. And let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope everyone has a great day.